good morning, and welcome to Magic in Mind. It is Monday, the 25th of September. My name is Maggie Rose Cunningham, and I am here to help you to explore what magic is available to you at the moment. We are going to be doing that through the lens of the healer as truth speaker. So the healer being one of the parts of the magical self. And we're going to be looking at the healer as truth speaker, which brings in the path of the seer. Now, the seer is what we're going to be doing next month. Just a little heads up there. We've got some nice events lined up as well, coming up for you for deepening into your seership. But we're going to stick with the healer today. It is full moon week. Love full moon week. We're going to be having a delicious full moon in Bacano, the rune of rebirth, the rune of the birch tree, of youth, of innocence, of vitality, of fecundity. So it's a really powerful, I love the Bacano full moon. It's a really powerful full moon coming up. I would love to know, before we get into thinking about the path of the healer, and specifically this piece around truth speaking. What's exciting? What are you excited about this week, this full moon week? What would you love to toast to the full moon about as Mani speeds across the sky on his chariot, and he is in his prime right now. I always see him as at the new moon. I see him as this sort of youthful, greedy for life, deity, a little bit like James Dean. That's always the way he comes across to me. And then by the time he comes into the full moon, he's sort of in the maturity, the mature, slightly silvery mode of the masculine in prime. There is something. Mani is one of the deities. Is a masculine deity who also is very capable of embracing his feminine side. So he's quite, when the full moon is full, there's the rightness of the masculine and the feminine coming through this month. Lisa, you're saying finally made one this month. Yes. Hello, lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Yes, I forget, because you're doing Awaken as well. I sort of see you popping up on there too, and obviously you're so active in the hearth space, which we all really appreciate. So we've got lovely Candice, we've got lovely Lisa, both of whom are really active on the hearth space, which I love. So hi Meggie as well. Love Meggie. Very active on Instagram as well, aren't you, Maggie? So we've got lots of different ways of engaging. Tell me, what are you celebrating? What are you excited about? Is what I would love to know as the full moon comes up. I have some little projects brewing, which are coming to fruition at various phases, which, we love that. That sort of cycles of fruitfulness is what we can call it as we work through the moon. So I'm very excited that the 3-hour masterclass that I did in rune healing earlier this month is now available as a recording, because a number of people requested it as a recording so they could participate afterwards. So if you want that, you go to www.meganrose.com and you click on shop, and it's there. Hooray! This is also launch week for my healing certification, which I'm very excited about. So all graduates of Awaken are eligible to do the healing certification. People who are in the process of doing Awaken, I would look out probably for next time, unless you're like, yeah, I'm fully ready. But if you are a graduate of Awaken, that is there and available to you. We are starting on Thursday, which is very exciting. Meggie, I know that you were in my Trailblazers group for that, which was wonderful to have you on that. And I've also got a lovely project brewing, which I'm not going to tell you about yet, but it is coming, and I am incredibly excited about it. So yes, I'm hoping to make an announcement about that on the full moon. That's what I want to be toasting Mani for. So think about not just the things that you are celebrating, but the things that you would love to celebrate through the course of this week as we move towards the full moon. Just grabbing my pen because I can see. So absolutely, if you know what your rune is, we're going to do our mini readings towards the end of the session. So if you want to, you can share what your rune is, the rune that you are working with. So you can think about this for those of you who are new. This is like your personal spirit guide rune. The rune that you might be working with for the day, particularly if you are new to the runes and you're working on your sage knowledge, you're working getting to know them, making friends with them. You might be working with one every day to start that off. You might be working with them weekly, perhaps through like every Monday. You know, you might be working with a different rune as you come to Magic in Mind, or you might be doing it through the lunar cycle. That's what I encourage people to do, particularly when you're working at that deeper level with your runes, is just choose one for the month. I'm working with Algiz this month, Rune of Guidance, which is great. And some people choose one for the year, which is pretty cool, isn't it? So we've got those. We're going to be looking at those. So I'm going to be looking at 6. I'm going to do a deep dive of 6 runes towards the end of the session. And then any of you who are here live, if there is anything that my seer goes, that needs to be said, that needs to be said, I will share that with you as well. So we've got Meggie has got Rado, and Candice has got Dargaz. Dargaz was flirting with me this morning, Candice, which was quite fun. It was actually a Thala that came forward for today. We'll see if anything comes through for you with Dargaz, because otherwise it's going to be next week. Okay, so we've got people coming through, and Maggie is saying, I am celebrating the general autumn equinox. The theme of diving into the darkness seems to be popping up a lot. Yeah, it is, isn't it? And for some people love that. I quite like the dive into the darkness. I say I quite like it, I really like it. And I love this period of time when the colours just seem so more vibrant and so much more intense through autumn here. So I really love that too. Other people less so. My husband, no, he is grumpy at the moment. Oh, the sun is going. Suki is saying, I'm celebrating healing myself, then others, and sending spare out into the world for whoever needs it. And you have Ansu's, which is coming up today, Suki. So we will work with Ansu's, and then we will see if you have anything, if anything else comes up there. Lisa saying, very much in preparation for Samhain, the new moon rune. So your rune for the month was Perthrow, and you've got Thurisaz for today. We've done Thurisaz already this month. We shall see what comes up there. Morning, Darcy. Darcy has got Largus. Largus has been coming a lot for me. It's my sun rune at the moment. It's feeling quite blissful in that sun there as well. And Maggie says the smell too of autumn leaves. Yes, the smell of autumn leaves is delicious, isn't it? So, thank you everybody. If I miss any of your runes, just because of the way we do the format now, don't be offended. You can always just drop it into the chat box again when we get to the point where I ask you about your runes. So I've tried to make a note of the ones that you have got. So let's have a little feel into the healer as truth speaker. And first of all, I wanted to start in the northern tradition. When we think about truth speaking, we tend to think about the burial mounds of the Volvas, the seeresses, and Odin is often, he is known for going and speaking to them to seek truth. And also he goes to Mimir, down to the well, the sort of severed head. So Mimir is also dead. There's something there about the wisdom of the dead that comes through, and the wisdom of the seer that comes through when we think about truth. There is also the Nornir. So Odin goes in fact there is a court held at the Well of Weird, where the gods assemble and the Nornir speak. And so this idea of accessing truth is very much associated with the seer. And Erica says, good morning everyone, happy to be here. You have Northies. We are doing Northies today, Erica. It's lovely to have you here. You're celebrating being alive and feeling alive now. And we celebrate that with you, Erica. Absolutely. And it is so wonderful to have you here, my darling. I feel very complete and happy now. So if we think then about the seer and the path of the seer, both the healer and the seer, they offer fabulous, wonderful opportunities for us to step more powerfully into our magical selves. But they also offer pitfalls and challenges. I want to give you an example here of the seer. So if we think about these, it's interesting that Odin he goes to the Nornir, and he goes to the dead often, like these places of accurate prophecy. But obviously there are many of us in this world who self-identify as seers, or may have strong seership skills, but they're not known or acknowledged at this time. And I think the challenge with the seer is partially that we tend to mistrust the information that seers receive. The sage is much more trusted in our society. It's written down, therefore it must be true. is what we tend to do. We distrust seership. We distrust intuition. We distrust insight. We distrust somebody saying anything that feels as if it comes from like the realms of the unseen, because people who are not in contact with the realms of the unseen are not in contact with the realms of the unseen, and therefore they cannot verify that for themselves. And everybody, every seer, is a unique vessel for that wisdom. So the way that they receive wisdom, the type of wisdom that they receive, is incredibly unique to each of us as human beings, and therefore it's difficult to verify. So we have, seers have that problem, to start with. The problem of being doubted. And seers have enough self-doubt as it is, because they're wise enough to know, how do I learn my way? How do I become the seer that I'm meant to be? But we also have seers, and this is an example, but you may have similar examples. Let me know if this rings a bell for you. So I went to I tell a lie, my boyfriend at the time, I was very young, went to a tarot reader. And we were off on holiday together at the time. And he went to this tarot reader, and he came out from the tarot reader, and he said, he was looking a bit troubled, and he said to me, the tarot reader told me that that we're not meant to be together, and that we're bad for each other. And I was like, oh. And I don't, the worst thing that you can say to two Taurians is, you're not meant to do this. That's like literally, it's a red rag to a bull, So that was that. This, whatever the intentions of the seer were, the result was, we are going to make this work. Oh my Lord, we're not going to be done. All of the above. Sometimes, and I don't know one way or the other, because I didn't have a reading from that seer, so I don't know whether I would have trusted that information or not. But seers receive information, but they don't always receive when is the right time to give this information? Is this information for me? Is this person ready to receive that information? Is it of benefit for me to share this information? And seers have the capacity to receive so much, in any given moment. And it can go wrong. It can go wrong if they're not also feeling inside and trusting their bodies, particularly because society distrusts them so much, so they're having to justify to themselves all the time, this information is true, it's ready. It's very difficult then to feel into your body and say, okay, how am I supposed to share this information with this person right now? It's really tough for seers. Now, on the other hand, you have the healer. And the healer, rather than being attuned to, let's say, the realm of spirit, stuff that's coming through, information that is coming through and being shared by spirit for the seer to then use out in the world, the healer is attuned to the present moment. So they are attuned to the person that they are with. And they are picking up on all of the, like the anxiety and the difficulty and the challenge and the this and the that and the blurb and the blur, or the room that they are in. Is everyone okay? And that's enough. Often for the healer, that's the main thing: is everyone okay? And what that can mean is that the healer never says anything, because they can feel that what they might say could have ripple effects, that are difficult to predict. They're not always easy to predict. Now, I think that when the seer and the healer work together effectively, and when we train to allow ourselves to do that, and I absolutely believe that training is necessary, and I say that because that is when I started to become so much more comfortable in sharing my received wisdom, was when I trained as a coach, and I trained as an energy healer, and I did all of this other training that then supported that the wisdom self, let's say, the part of me that was connected into my wisdom. I'm not going to say that I get it right all of the time, because I don't get it right all of the time, but I get it right a hell of a lot more of the time than I used to. And the art of the healer and the seer, when they come together, is to speak truth without it being judging or controlling. And I think that's the challenge. It's to offer as an invitation to the person who is there to say, I need help and I need support, to offer as an invitation possibilities. So, maybe the tarot reader could have said, are you happy in your relationship at the moment? Not in a, are you happy in your relationship at the moment? No. Neutral tone. Are you happy in your relationship at the moment? Or what are the things that you look for? What is it that you really want in a partner? To start that chain of thought going that sows the seed that the person might be like, am I with the right partner? Am I not with the right partner? But doesn't try and take control. And I think this is the other piece I want to add into this is for seers in particular. This is a real challenge because there are so many people who come to seers wanting the responsibility for decision making to be taken away and given to somebody else. It's really, really difficult for seers because ultimately no one can take responsibility for our actions other than ourselves. And when somebody comes to a seer essentially in like victim mode, I'm having a tough time and I'm going to give that to you and you are going to fix it for me by telling me what to do, and then when it goes wrong I can blame you for it. No. So that relationship, the whole dynamic of why we work with seers, how we work with them, is I think a little bit skewed in our society right now, and to be addressed. So that was me on my soapbox. Let me move on a little bit from my soapbox for now, but let me know if that's something that you have experienced, either being like forced to take responsibility for somebody else's decisions and that's like put you off being in that role of the seer before, or if you've had a seer who has sort of pronounced judgment on you or maybe offered stuff when you didn't ask for it. Another important thing for seers, very, very difficult, particularly if we're suddenly receiving all of this stuff and we're like, wow, I need to share it. But if you haven't been asked, it is not going to be received well. So lots for the seer to manage and navigate. So tell me if that resonates with you. So I want to bring in another piece now. We're going to be looking at the planetary movements in a moment, but I wanted to look at the deeper planets, so the planets further out in our solar systems. We've got Ur's chariot, Uranus. We've got Aegis chariot, Neptune. We've got Hela's chariot, Pluto, and we've got Loki's chariot, Saturn. And these work on the collective. The Loki's chariot's a little bit on both. It's a little bit of the subconscious mind, a little bit of the collective consciousness as well, but the other three tend to work on the collective consciousness. And all four of those planets over the past, either like the past 10 years or for the even further out ones for like the last generation or two, have been passing through the second 8 of runes. This is the second set of runes, literally runes numbers 9 to, I want to say 17. 8 of them. Yeah, that works out, doesn't it? 9 to 17. And these are the runes of disruption. They're the runes of challenge. They're the runes of discord. They're the runes of stuff coming up and of stepping into maturity. And when I sort of feel into generations being born through this period of time, and particularly this sort of resurgence that I really feel of spirituality, of a real embracing of diversity, of a reconnection to the earth, of the masculine and the feminine coming together, all of these things coming through at this point of time. I feel as if it is connected to these planets, which are bringing through that sort of, you've had a nice clear narrative of sort of monotheistic religions and the age of enlightenment, and technology is the answer to everything, and education will sort out everything, and as long as we keep on consuming we'll all be rich and the planet will keep on giving forever and nothing bad will ever happen. That was in such a nutshell what I just sort of said. But these narratives, which now these runes come through and they disrupt them. And this is my feeling, that not only do I believe that more people were born into the world in the last 2 generations who are open to their magic, and I believe that was for a reason, and I think that these runes are supporting that and bringing forward stuff in us that we have repressed and pushed away, maybe for good reason during that time. Everything works cyclically. They've been sent down into the roots of the world tree, and now they're rising back up through the waters, let's say. And that there are those of us who are born feeling our magic so strongly that we are not able to let it go. That our society works really hard to say, childhood, have a great time, there are fairies in the garden, there's this, there's that, and then through the years that's deprogrammed out of us, and it gets to the point where that was your childhood, that was imagination, that's not real. That's the way that the system works. But there are more and more of us who are going, still feel the stuff. I'm still feeling it. What's going on there? That's still happening. And I believe that the healer, out of all of the parts of our magical identity, is the strongest resonator for that. Because the healer feels and responds to discord, disharmony, whatever is going on, they feel that so strongly. It's like a sort of itch that you can't scratch. There's something wrong, I'm feeling it, I can't help it. I've got to do something about it. I've got to, I've got to move into action around this because there is so much discomfort. Our planet is saying no. Now, our people are saying no. Now, we are at this age where all of this disruption is coming through, and the healers' selves are picking up on that. And so I believe that many people who might potentially be more natural mystics or magicians, sort of have that quite strongly within them, followed the healing path because it was the one that was calling them to service most strongly, and that many people may have trained in many different modalities of healing, in order to make their difference. But perhaps there are other parts of them that will support that healer self, which is why I like to explore now the healer and the seer working together. Darcy is saying, I agree 100%. Seer friends who have amazing integrity, and also find all of you said about people not wanting to take responsibility. Also, the reading's a snapshot in time. Yeah, absolutely. It's a snapshot in time. Things can change. Yeah, there's a weaving, isn't there? There's an ongoing weaving of the world that comes through. So I'm glad that really resonated with you. And asking questions is great for helping people take responsibility. Yeah, and I do actually think that that is such a powerful path for the seer. And that once you've built a relationship with a client, that you know that they are able to take responsibility for themselves and to say, oh, yeah, what that seer says really resonates and I'm going to follow that, but it's mine. Then there might be times when the seer might say, I am hearing this really strongly, because you can trust your client to then say, okay, I'm going to absolutely take what you have said, but I'm still doing this. If that feels right for them, that it's still their course of action. It's that co-creation of the relationship, which takes a little bit of time. And Mickey says, I feel people prefer an ego stroke when it comes to seership than uncomfortable things. It takes a lot of work to deconstruct ideas of wisdom. Yes, this is also true, isn't it? And I think that's worth bearing in mind, that if you look at Odin going to consult with the various beings that he goes to work with, he doesn't go for them to say, Odin, you are right. Everything's fine. You're going to stay on the throne because you're a great guy, and the dead will stay exactly where they want to be, and the Jotun love you. It's all going to be fine. They don't do that. They say, well, your son's going to die and you're not going to be able to stop that from happening, and the dead are going to rise up and you're going to die and it's all going to happen, but then your son's going to come back and all of those sorts of things will happen. And he's like, okay, then great, thanks. So, and then he says, I think that there's still some stuff that I can do around this. Now, and he takes the action that he can in order to, what I think he's doing is, I think he's deferring Ragnarok personally. Sometimes I think he's deferring, and sometimes I think he's almost like drip feeding it a little bit, like, let's have a small disaster here and a small thing there to let some of that disruptive energy out, like we're experiencing at the moment. It's almost like the lesson for Odin is you can't be in control all of the time. If you try and be in control all of the time, Ragnarok will occur. If you allow some of these forces to come through, these sort of disruptive forces to come through and work with them, that balance between order and chaos can last for longer. Now, I'm speculating now, but I think there is so much about Ragnarok, which is a teaching story for us as well as for Odin. And exactly as you said, Darcy, there are so many different possibilities. Prophecies are of their time. Like in the moment, this is the prophecy, then we work with it, we change because of it, we take the path of the magician or the path of the healer, we change something, and then reality shifts around us. So if we think about, I love the idea of all of my fabulous hero healers coming with their shields and their healy swords, we're coming forward into this time, surging on the wave of Perthro in Hela's chariot in Perthro, to try and change the world. I love that as an idea. So let's have a look at our planetary movements for this week. So we have not until the further on in the week, so we've got a little bit of calm through the course of this week, so you can feel a little bit into what I've been talking about that second 8 energy, the disruptor energy, and thinking, I am part of that. I am part of that disruption. what would happen if my seer and my healer were supporting each other so powerfully with such wisdom that I was able to speak my truth to a wider audience than is available to me right now, trusting them, you know, trusting that I have drawn those people to me who are ready to take responsibility for themselves and to engage in a really far reaching, powerful conversation about the possibilities that are available to them in life. Wouldn't that be pretty cool? For those of you who are seers or healers and you're thinking, yeah, I'd like to harness those two possibilities there. That's available to us in the first part of the week. And then on the 29th, we are going to see our first planetary movement. So Frigg's chariot, that's Venus, is going to move out of Thurisaz, where it has been. Bit of disruptor energy there, quite a lot of emotion going through, old stuff resurfacing into Ansus, the rune of communication and expression. So it might be that at this point, if you have been feeling a lot of choppy energy, a lot of difficulties coming through, two things for you to work on. One would be making sure that you give voice to those things, whether you do it through journaling or writing poetry or creating art, whatever it is, it's that moving into expression. Moving into dialogue when you can. Frigg is definitely, she's a collaborator deity, so the fact that she's in Ansu suggests that the time is ripe at this point for powerful conversations to be held. So if you want to play with your healer seer at this point, now is a great time to do that from the 29th onwards. I haven't put where she's how long she's going to be in there, but if you have Sooner Starwell, you already know that, and you can always look on the Instagram account on the 29th and it will come out and it will say how long that's going to be for. But she will be there supporting that energy. So if there are conversations that you want to have, now might be a good time to plan them, and then you can have them during this period of time when Frigg is in Ansus. Then on the 29th as well, we have the full moon in Bacano. Such a lovely time for growth. Whereas Frigg will support very much the healer seer, Frigg's chariot and Ansus, the full moon supports that sort of healer and slightly mystic energy. They're bringing through new possibilities, new energies. There is a I love the full moon in Bacano. It's a moon of real possibility and potential. There is a quiet, almost like whispering to the earth energy about this. It's a bit like if you have these dreams in your heart that are opening up to you in your heart, whisper them to the earth, whisper them to the moon, to the full moon as well. Toast them with your symbol, right? This is very boring. This is not my drinking horn. It's just my glass. But, toast. Offer your dreams to the moon, offer them to the earth, knowing that Bacano energy will be there to offer its renewal, its blessing, its like deep regenerative earth energy through this period of time. It's a lovely partnership between the moon and the earth at this point. And there is and I was talking about Mani, bringing the balance of the masculine and the feminine. It is the possibility of the masculine and the feminine working in harmony together rather than pulling apart from each other. I should say right now, I watched the Barbie movie last night. It was pretty cool. I need to think about it a bit more. There was some stuff that I was like, But there was a lot in there that was very interesting in terms of our society's ability to navigate between the masculine and the feminine, and to allow full self-expression of both. And the full moon in Bacano offers blessings to that. So whether that is inside for you within your own balance of masculine and feminine, I can't speak, masculine and feminine energy inside or internally, or whether it's outside externally, you're feeling like, there's something that's off, really good time to be working on that as well. Then on the 30th, Odin's chariot moves out of Ansus, out of Rado, so out of the sort of rhythm, the moving forward step by step into Kina as the rune of the creator. So this is the healer magician. This is, I see the problem and then I act. I will take whatever action is needed. And this is a reminder from Odin that sometimes truth speaking isn't about actual speech. It's about how we act, how we behave, what we do in the moment. Darcy, you mentioned that seers that you know who act with great integrity. And it's looking at that and really feeling into integrity and feeling into action as well. Sort of, again, saying, what are the things that you can do that will bring you out of receiving with the healer? The healer tends to receive into action as the healer magician that takes action in the moment. And they don't have to be huge actions, but they just need to be forward moving actions with Odin in Kinaz. You know, that you are. It's coming back to our point, isn't it, about the seer and somebody who comes and says, I don't know what to do, I want somebody else to tell me. You know, and it's that point of sort of saying, you are the change, you are what you have been waiting for. You know, you are the human being that you have been waiting for. What is it that you are looking for from someone else, and how do you give that to yourself? You know, how do you offer that gift to yourself that you are so desperate for somebody else to give you, is what Odin in Kinaz offers. And then we have on the first, soonest chariots of the sun moves out of Kinaz, so out of the creator energy. So the creator energy is available to us right now because the sun is in Kinaz, moves into Gibo, the rune of exchange, of promises and contracts. 1st of October is a great time for speaking oaths and making promises. And what I would say actually is from the full moon point all the way through to the 1st of October and beyond is a great time for speaking promises and for speaking truths and being witnessed in that truth. Be careful what you say during that time. Think about it in this way. The universe is listening. You know, whatever it is that you say, you'll know all of those old adages about, you know, if you say, oh, you know, I can't do anything, and it's all horrible, and life is miserable, that the universe is listening. Oh, that's what they want. You know, it's that piece. It's just recognizing that at the moment, that's even stronger. So, from the full moon, and probably for like a 2-week period after that point, speak truth. You know, and not the truth you think other people want you to hear, and not the truth of the story that you have been telling yourself because it's safer, that keeps you small. Speak the truth of your heroic heart, knowing that it will be heard through this period of time. Okay, so those are our planetary movements. Love the Barbie movie, says Maggie. And Candy says, it's on my to-watch list. It was on my to-watch list as well. I spent yesterday, and I wasn't playing with the children, which was lovely, making dinosaur keyrings, laying flooring. I was laying floor tiles. They look good. They look very good. I'm getting there. But yeah, I was just like, right, I'm going to watch the Barbie movie this evening. I'm not going to carry on doing any more floor tiles because I would have started to cut them wrong. So it was nice. I enjoyed it. So yeah, recommended. Let's have a look at the spirit guides runes for this month then. So I'm going to go through them. I'm just going to have you're going to have to bear with me as I turn my page over because I've written on the back of the piece of paper that I put the runes that we're going to be working with, the runes that people have who are here in the room with me, our virtual temple space for magic and mind. So we've got Ansus, and I'm sure someone had Ansus, didn't they? Was it? It was Suki with Ansus. We've talked a little bit about Ansus, haven't we? Because of Frigg's chariot in Ansus. The only other thing that Frigg actually wanted to offer, and I'll see if I can find the Ansus rune while we're here, is when we feel a truth. Here we go. There's the Ansus rune. When we feel a truth and we feel a sense of needing to speak up, of like rage possibly, of my boundaries being crossed here, of why we're doing this in the world. Our emotional responses can start as anger or fear or anxiety, what we might call the uncomfortable emotions. And it's sort of saying, okay, so that's my first response. This is like my seer coming up a little bit and having an emotional response to what the seer knows is happening in the world. You know, how do I then turn that? It's almost like actually I should say that the emotions are almost like that bridge point where the seer and the healer meet. You can imagine them, and the seer is like holding the hands of your healer and saying, no, this is happening in the world, you know it. And the healer's going, I know it. I know it. I really know. You know, it's that piece. And then it's working together. So it's saying, use your words where you can to inspire rather than to censor. It's that piece around, instead of pointing out what's wrong in the world, paint a picture of what could be better. You know, paint a picture of what could be better. Or, as I was saying, it's like that difference between the seership relationship that we have been talking about with people coming who are finding the path so difficult that they want somebody else to take the decisions for them, and the first job of the seer being to help them to step into a more powerful position before any wisdom is offered from the seer, because they know at that point it's not helpful. It's not helpful. It's not going to have a healing purpose to offer it from this place. And actually saying, okay, so my job as the seer is to support this person in their ability to receive what I'm going to give to them from a place of power, and then to offer that, is the vision of these relationships, which are empowering for both parties rather than disempowering, because they're based on control and fear often. Is the vision. So look for that, is what Ansie's wanted to offer. Our next rune is, let's do Northes, because Northes came through. That's what you have, Erica, isn't it? There we go. There's the Northes rune. So Northes rune is the rune of need. It's the rune of necessity. It's the rune of the fire lit upon the hillside in the darkness, calling the sun back on her long journey. Now, as soon as Chariot, she's out at the very edges of possibility. And then the fire is lit to kindle her, to return her. I saw a wonderful video by a lady called Jen LaMarinelle, who does wonderful retreats out in the wild. And she was doing a kindling the need fire on LinkedIn. It was amazing. If I have a chance, I'll post it in the Heartspace group so you can have a look. Can we post? Oh, I don't know if LinkedIn and Facebook talk to each other. I'll do it if I can. And it was just amazing to sort of watch the way in which she fiercely nurtured that flame. And that's the thing I think with North is it's that like fierce nurturing of our inner flame that comes through. And so what North is actually suggested, but bearing in mind that we're talking about communication, we're talking about truth speaking, is there is an act of expressing desire, expressing passion that is felt within, and expressing it out into the world, so that the flame becomes less of the I need to keep creating the heat, I have to keep creating it myself, to the point where the fire becomes self-sustaining, because you've given it fuel and you've given it oxygen, and then you don't have to keep on doing the thing where you're with the bow, and you do that. That's how Jen was doing it. She was doing it with the bow and like drawing it backwards and forwards, and it was creating the friction, then creating the fire. And there is that time when we need to do that. So and that is the externalizing process. So it can be journaling, it can be art. I've talked about this before with Ansu's. It's a similar piece here around letting out your creative, whatever is inside, creating it and bringing it out. The Kinaz rune and the Northes rune, they're both fire runes. They're both that process of creativity. But Northes is almost, there is an energy inside that needs to come out. So that fierce nurturing of the flame that needs to take place. And when that happens, then it will start to almost take on a life of its own and become the need fire that is no longer sort of burning within, but is burning for us, is what I feel there. Good morning, Michelle. Lovely to see you. Fiercely nurturing our inner flames, says Erica. I'm glad that is so good and fitting. Wonderful. I am very pleased that is the case. Whew, what other runes do I have that other people had? Not anymore yet. So let me finish the rest of our spirit guide runes, and then we will look at the others. So the next rune that wanted to come and play with us this week is Uruz. So Uruz is a very it's a traditional rune of healers. It's often put forward as being, yes, it's a great rune, great starter rune for healers to work with. So we've got the Uruz rune here. It represents the aurochs. It is strength. It is the deep, powerful energy of nature, of Mother Earth, and again, there's a balance of masculine and feminine within this that I think is important. The aurochs is often seen as being quite a masculine mode creature, for whatever reason, and so it's that the balance between Mother Earth, who nurtures the aurochs, and the spirit of the aurochs roaming across the land. There is the mentality of the herd, where the herd is together, and there is the nurtured young in the center, and then the adults on the outside, the fierce mothers, and then the males even further on the outside of the herd, like protecting and watching. And all of this comes into the Uru's rune, so we can call on that, we can draw that. Now with this one, I would say for the Uru's rune, if you've received it right now, it's almost like the healer. And it is a reminder that when times are hard, when they are difficult, perhaps when you have been out and you have spoken a truth, and it didn't matter how beautifully you framed it, the person who received it badly or negatively. And what I want to be really clear is that sometimes that is part of their healing journey. You know? Sometimes it is our role to bring somebody else into a place of discomfort that was perhaps already there for them, or that they need to cross in order for their next leveling up, their next growth. You know, and that what you are doing is offering healing and support. The path of the healer is not always placating and soothing and not saying the thing by any means. This is why I said, you know, the healer needs the seer to sometimes say, yes, this might be uncomfortable, but it needs to be said. You know? And the healer may find the best possible way of saying that, but sometimes, you know, it's just the way that it needs to come out. You know, there are times when other human beings are feeling incredible rage at the world, and they just decide that you are someone safe to hold that rage for them. You know? And you can say, okay, that's fine. Now is my time to say, I see your rage. It's not mine. This is my response to it. But you're still safe. You know, I'm not going to do all of the things that human beings do to each other when they're in a place where, you know, they're raging at each other. You know, I'm not necessarily going to rage back, but I am going to stand in my power. That can be healing in itself. So the Uru's rune offers that. It offers the taking the stand, the being in your strength and your power, and it also reminds you that if you have had an experience where somebody has taken out their rage, their victimhood, we were talking about this before, where it can be really deeply distressing to be with another human being who has lost all of their power, you know, who have been on a journey that is so difficult and so challenging, and you just want to weep with them, you know. And sometimes that's the appropriate thing to do, is to weep with them. And the Uru's rune reminds, and afterwards go and care for yourself and get back into your own energy as well. Now, yes, the healer can sit with somebody else and they can witness them in their most profound, most difficult space. And isn't that amazing gift to give to somebody else? But you still deserve to come back into your own power afterwards. You don't have to sit in that with them. You know? That's the difference between the healer and the person that they're working with, is that the person is stuck at the bottom of the hole. The healer has a ladder. You know, Darcy's saying, show by example the way to be. Yes, absolutely. Show by example the way to be. Uru's brings that. And Uru says, you know, there is I can sit here with you and I can let the rage out and I can cry and I can dance it out and I can move it out and I can do all of those things and I can just be with you and be in silence and quiet with you, and afterwards I'm going to climb my ladder, just so that you know that there is a ladder. You know? So that Uru's rune is offering to us. Eric says, Uru's reminds me of Autumna, the primordial feminine great mother as well. Yes, I think so. I think it's worth bearing in mind that when we can talk about masculine and feminine quite a lot, but it is worth bearing in mind that in the older, the really primal beings like Autumna and like Ymir are not, they don't have that sort of nuance of gender specificity that we have now, because they don't have the story world that goes with that. No, they don't have the story world that goes with that. They don't have the physical world either that goes with that in the same way. They're sort of raw elemental beings. So they can be incredibly healing for us in terms of opening up to the possibility of what it means to be masculine, feminine, or a delicious mix of both. You know? So I don't know when I wanted to come out, but it did want to come out at this point. So our next rune that wants to chat with us is the Alga's rune. So you said the Alga's rune, that's the rune that I'm working with through the course of this month, this week. And what it wanted to do is actually just to bring in, this is an exercise that we did in the rune healing masterclass. And I'm not going to try and do the whole exercise with you because it would take some time to do it. But it's a reminder that because Alga's is the rune of like spirit guidance, of connecting to spirit, of being guided by something outside of yourself, and that sense of protection and defense that comes with it. Very useful for seers, particularly seers who have lost their confidence because the world hasn't received them well, or are feeling like I haven't had any training. All of the things that I've just said, that like seers should be supported. All of our magical selves should be supported in expressing themselves in their fullness and claiming their way of being in the world, and we don't have that. The Alga's rune is incredibly helpful for seers because it connects them to the world that they are, inherently and naturally connected to anyway, but it can repair some of those for you, if you're someone who, I know that I did it, I know so many people have talked about it, where you've learned to shut off part of your intuitive self, some part of your seeing self, because other people didn't like it, or it was frightening because you didn't have a guide to support you in it. The Alga's rune is wonderful for a very gentle reconnection. And what you can do is imagine the Alga's rune behind you, and you can imagine it as rainbow colours that you wrap around yourself as a cloak, or as wings, like the wings of a bird. You can choose whatever bird you want to. You could choose a swan, you could choose a falcon, all sorts of different, if you want to do northern tradition, those are good ones to use, but you can use any that feel supportive, and you can feel those wings just wrapping around you and holding you safe and protected in that space. So because the Alga's rune looks like a little person standing behind and raising their arms up, you can imagine that it's like the energy of the Alga's rune. Either imagine it as a rainbow or as wings, or as a combination of both. It's a really nice way of working, and as I say, it's in the masterclass we go into that into a lot more depth to really give some oomph to that exercise. So it is that sense of protection and ease and guidance that the seer needs, and that the healer needs, that our magical self in general really needs. Okay, which runes have come out? Here we go. So the next rune that wanted to come and play is the Tewas rune. So quite different to the Alga's rune in its energy. They're quite close to each other. So we've got Alga's, then we've got Suella, then we've got Tewas in the rune row. And Alga's offers this experience of the divine as a protective, guiding force that we can reach out to. The Tewas rune also offers protection, guidance, let's say. So because it's the guiding star. Where it offers protection is in terms of our integrity. So Darcy, you raised this piece around integrity, and I think it's so important for us when we pursue the path of the seer or the magician or the mystical. It's that sense of wholeness, of expressing, of knowing and expressing your values that hold you and anchor you, that the Tewas rune offers. And the Tewas rune, similar to Kinaz, says we don't always have to do that with our words. We can do that with our actions. It's what would be the most powerful healing action in this moment. And it's remembering as well that healing is not always placating and soothing. It can be a standing in integrity, that being the role model that we were talking about there, the taking the difficult decision. Saying, again, we were talking about what gift is it that I'm looking for from somebody else that I could offer to myself? And Tewa says, what bravery am I looking for from outside of myself that I can actually stand into for myself? This is what Tewas calls us into. And you can work with the Tewas rune, you can chant it, you can wear it, you can channel it. Many different ways that you can work with Tewas to find the brave, to find the brave inside. And that's what the Tewas rune offers. Now, our last spirit guide rune that wanted to come forward for this week is Athala. And you'll remember that I said that Dargaz was playing a little bit, and I know that somebody had Dargaz. Who was it that had Dargaz? Yes, it was Candice. So let's do Athala, and then we'll feel into what Dargaz has to say. So the Athala rune offers the path of the healer sage. So Athala is the rune of estate. It's the rune of legacy. It is the rune of connection with the ancestors, with the wisdom of the past. And it's talking about, there's a number of different ways in which we can work with it when we think about it in terms of healing. So we can look at it in terms of reclaiming our connection to the land, reclaiming our connection to the ancestors, looking for stories in the law and in history that illustrate those moments of brave, or those moments of gifting that we want for ourselves, so that we can feel into them, so that we can call on, the spirits of the past or the stories of the past to help us to take that brave action. It's an inspiration piece. What does the inspiration of the past have to offer to you? The wisdom of the old. It's also talking about monumental gestures or actions, and they're almost like symbolic actions that make a point, take a stand, that we can attach meaning to them. I'm remembering the petition that Lisa shared. Thank you, Lisa, that you shared in the group about Stonehenge and an event that it was going to be used for, and the beliefs of the people who were coming to use it, and the quickness with which a community took action around this event and said, we will take a stand, because Stonehenge is a powerful symbol, and it was going to be used for a purpose that our communities were outside of the value systems of the communities that are embedded in this country. And so Stonehenge became a monument, a taking a stand in that moment that had what could have been, you would just say, well, it was a group of people who wanted to use a venue for an activity. And on paper, that's true, but it was so much more than that. And the action that was then taken to prevent that from happening is an example of the healer, the truth speaker, standing up and saying stuff and opening up a dialogue about things that can be uncomfortable, and that some of us might, if you're just in healer mode and you're like, I want everything to be okay and I don't want to talk about this, that's the brave healer, isn't, who said, well, I'm going to. No, I'm going to. And I'm going to recognize the importance of place, and the importance of time, and the importance of the significance of this place for us in that moment, and take a stand. And I feel as if that moment was a real strengthening of Athala energy there. So, the Healer Sage and the Athala rune offer us an opportunity to think about healing on a scale that relates to community and to long-term legacy, generational healing, rather than perhaps individual healing. So you might want to think about it in that capacity. So let's have a little feel as to what the your Dargaz rune is saying there, Candice, whether it's got anything else to offer. I love the Dargaz rune. It's quite a light energy in comparison with that quite oomphy Athala energy that just came through, like really powerful. This is us. The Dargaz rune is offering something a little bit lighter. Here we go. It's reminding me obviously of the wings of butterflies coming through, and I've got a little tingling on the third eye going there. Interestingly, who's coming through for me, Candice, is Heimdall, the god who listens. And it's that it's almost, for me, if you imagine Heimdall is able to listen to all of the worlds, all of the sounds in all of the worlds, and he has that he's a bit like Ipsos Mori. He's like a giant survey mechanism that has his pulse. He's got his finger on the pulse of what's happening in all of the worlds, and he's got his finger on the pulse of what is happening in our world. And when we are at the point where we were thinking all is doom and gloom and nothing can get better, and this is like, we're like King Canute on the shore trying to stop the sea from coming in the face of the epic fails of humanity at this point, Heimdall says, come and sit with me. And we sit with him, and we open our senses, we open the third eye, we open the ears, and we listen to the whispers and to the voices of the people who care, which includes your own voice, of course. And you listen to them. And Heimdall is able to tune in to like the little radio frequency of the healer, so that you can listen to those voices and find the inspiration that you need. So that's what's coming through for the Dargaz rune, Candice, which I'm certainly going to take. I think that's very nice. Maggie, you had the Rado rune, didn't you? There's a more it's coming quite straightforwardly, actually, in terms of Rado. It's coming through as travel, taking opportunities to go to different places to spread your message of physical travel. There's also a preparation for spiritual travel coming through. There's multiple journeys. So it's sort of saying anytime a journey is offered, take it. You know, and I say that as one seer to another. So, feel into it. But it's sort of saying, yeah, anytime that tingly like sensation that a journey is available, listen to that, and move forward with that. And it might be, it could be physical journeys, but it could also be journeys of growth in the mind, journeys, spiritual journeys as well. All of those are available. So it's quite, it was a doing what it says on the tin moment there for you, Maggie, with your radar rune. Suki, we've got the Ansus runes. We've covered Ansus twice because we did it with the planets, and then we did it as a spirit guide. There's nothing else coming through specifically for you on that one. I think that whatever needed to be said is being said. Lisa, you've got your lovely Perthrow rune. And I can feel, you've got your not your Dargaz rune, your Thurisaz rune as well, haven't you, for the day? And I think that that's quite important when we feel into the Perthrow energy. It's because it's a rune of like mystery and of weird rising to the surface and opportunities coming through, and sometimes challenges coming through as well. Every day can feel different, so it can be useful to do your rune of the day through that time, and to see each of those runes as through the lens of the Perthrow rune. There is with Thurisaz, it's almost like the birthing of the divine masculine back into the world at this point. If there is anybody in your life who for you represents that masculine energy, like sons, nephews, partner, whoever it is, it's that sort of I'm imagining like child Thor, baby Thor, or maybe his sons, his two sons, and recognizing the role that the divine feminine has with the Perthrow rune is becoming like a container for inspiring the young masculine towards the journey of initiation, towards the journey of independence and maturity. And that's what's coming through for me at this point, is the partnership between the Perthrow rune and the Thurisaz rune. It's almost like the Perthrow rune is an initiator, but it's a contained initiator. It's not like the Tewaz. It's not like masculine to masculine with the Tewaz rune saying, right, go to the Thurisaz rune, go into the forest alone and face the wolves. It is the Perthrow rune. So there is a playfulness. It's not, you are totally safe in my lovely motherly embrace. It's more a sort of sorceress energy. I'm thinking Galadriel when she speaks to the people, to the partnership of the ring, and she speaks to each of them and offers them some like mysterious thing. It's a bit like that. Channel your inner Galadriel, Lisa, is what I think is coming through. And Darcy, you have got the Largus rune, this watery, that's a cleansing, deep energy. There's a recognition of the seer, I feel, coming through within you, and I can almost feel as if you are like a cliff face, or the land that the water is coming down, like a waterfall is coming down. There is something incredibly powerful within that. It's literally, I can just hear this cascade of water, and this very like the taste of totally pure, it's gone through all of the mountains, water coming down. I can see green ferns and mosses, and it's incredibly like magical place that I can feel. I'm not getting anything else. I'm just going to offer that to you, Darcy, to say it feels very, very powerful, but I'm not getting anything from as in story. I'm just getting this landscape, perhaps something to journey into, to see what's there, what's behind the waterfall, Darcy. We shall have to wait and see. So that is everybody who has come live, I believe. Let me know if I have forgotten anybody, but I don't think that I have. Thank you so much for joining me for Magic in Mind this week. I hope that you are enjoying the path of the healer. And yeah, anyone who is thinking about but has not yet signed up to do the healing certification, even if you just drop me an email to say,
thinking about it, I'm not sure, there's something, let me know, because the day is coming fast and there is sort of stuff that we need to get sorted to make sure that we are ready for that on Thursday. So I know there's a few people who have been like, oh, I'm thinking about it. Just get in touch and let me know, and then we can get you sorted for Thursday. Okay, you take care, and I'll see you all very soon.